a TRULOV NVR index. The night train moved like a quiet thought across the border, cutting through mountain cities and memories that refused to fade. Inside one of its dimly lit compartments sat a woman staring at her own reflection in the window. Her name was Lin Yu. Time had changed her face slightly, but her eyes still carried the same unfinished story. Every mile the train traveled felt like a page turning in a book she never truly closed. Years ago she had promised herself never to return. Yet here she was, going back to the city where love had first found her and where it had last broken her. Across the sea in Seoul, Kangmin, Jae stood on the rooftop of a hospital, watching the sunrise bleed into the sky. He had saved many lives as a neurosurgeon, but there was one heart he had never been able to heal: his own. Every morning, before the city woke up, he came here, hoping the wind would carry away the weight he carried inside. He still remembered the exact moment his life had split into before and after. It was not a dramatic moment. No thunder, no music, no cinematic slow motion. Just an ordinary afternoon at a small language cafe near Hongda, where fate quietly rearranged two lives. Min Jae had been tutoring international students to pay off his student loans. He was serious, disciplined, and emotionally guarded, a man shaped by responsibility too early in life. His father had died when he was 16, leaving him as the pillar of his family. Love, to him, was a luxury he could not afford. Lin Yu walked into that cafe with hesitant steps and a notebook clutched tightly to her chest. She had arrived from Shanghai only 2 weeks earlier to study architecture. Korea was unfamiliar, the language sharp on her tongue, the culture overwhelming. She chose that cafe because the sign outside said, in imperfect English, "Words connect hearts." Min Jae noticed her immediately, not because she was loud or striking, but because she looked like someone trying not to disappear. Their first conversation was awkward. Her Korean was broken, his English hesitant. They laughed more at misunderstandings than jokes. When she said bridge, he thought she said break, and somehow that mistake became symbolic long before either of them realized it. Day by day, their sessions turned into conversations. Conversations turned into shared silences that felt comfortable. Min Jae learned that Lin Yu designed buildings not to impress the world, but to protect people from it. Lin Yu learned that Min Jae became a doctor not because he dreamed of saving lives, but because he was afraid of losing them. Love did not arrive suddenly. It grew quietly, like roots beneath the soil. One evening, rain trapped them inside the cafe long after closing time. The owner had left, trusting Min Jae to lock up. Outside, the city glowed in blurred neon. Inside, time slowed. Lin Yu asked him why he never talked about his mother. Min Jae hesitated, then answered honestly, "Because if I do, I might stop being strong." She looked at him for a long moment, then said softly, "Being strong all the time is also a way of running." That was the first crack in his armor. They began to meet outside the cafe, late night walks, shared street food, quiet libraries. Min Jae discovered the courage to want something for himself. Lin Yu discovered the safety of being seen. But love, especially the kind that changes you, rarely arrives alone. Lin Yu's scholarship had conditions. She was expected to return to China after graduation to work for a family's firm. Her father, a respected architect, believed emotions were distractions. When Lin Yu mentioned Min Jae during a video call, her father's face hardened. "Temporary feelings," he said. "Do not confuse comfort with destiny." Min Jae faced his own battles. His mother's health began to decline, and the hospital demanded more of him than ever. Nights grew longer, conversations shorter. Silence crept in, not the comfortable kind they once shared, but the dangerous kind that fills gaps with fear. They never fought loudly. Their love eroded quietly, worn down by distance that had nothing to do with geography. The night Lin Yu received her return ticket, she did not tell Min Jae. She waited for the right moment, a moment that never came. On their last evening together, they stood on a bridge overlooking the Han River. The city lights shimmered like broken stars. "If one day we stop walking in the same direction," Lin Yu said, "do you think love disappears?" Min Jae answered without thinking, "No, I think it waits." She smiled, memorizing his face. The next morning, she was gone. No goodbye, no explanation. Only an unopened message on Min Jae's phone that read, "When the time is right, you will understand." Understanding did not come easily. Years passed. Min Jae buried himself in work. Promotions came. Respect followed, but happiness remained distant. He never loved again, not because he could not, but because every comparison failed. Lin Yu returned to Shanghai and followed the path laid out for her. Success came quickly. Her designs were praised for their emotional depth, though few knew the source of that emotion. At night, she dreamed of Seoul, of a bridge, of a man who believed love could wait. They lived separate lives, yet the thread between them never broke. Fate, patient and relentless, waited for the right moment. That moment arrived in the form of a hospital expansion project, A joint Korean-Chinese collaboration, Lin Yu was chosen as the lead architect. Min Jae was appointed medical advisor. When their names appeared on the same document, neither believed it at first. Their reunion was not dramatic. They met in a sterile conference room, surrounded by professionals discussing budgets and timelines. When Min Jae looked up and saw her across the table, the world narrowed to a single breath. Lin Yu felt it too, the same silent force from Music Unchanged. They did not speak alone until days later. On the rooftop of the hospital, the same place where Min Jae watched the sunrise every morning. I came back, Lin Yu said. I never left, Min Jae replied. There were no accusations, no explanations demanded. Only truths finally spoken. They talked about fear, about choices made too early, about love that did not fit into expectations. They talked until the sun rose, just like it used to. This time, they did not promise forever. They promised honesty. Love, they realized, does not always arrive to stay. Sometimes it leaves to grow stronger. As the project progressed, they learned each other again, not as the people they were, but as the people they had become. And when the hospital finally opened, standing strong and beautiful, Lin Yu placed a small inscription near the entrance. Built for those who heal and those who wait. On opening day, Min Jae stood beside her, their hands brushing, this time not accidentally. The story did not end there. Because true love stories never end. They simply continue quietly, patiently, until two hearts are finally ready to walk forward together. And somewhere between Seoul and Shanghai, between past and present, their love found its forever, not as a perfect ending, but as an unbreakable continuation.